The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Threx of the Saurian Dominion accessed the historical database. His clawed hand trembled slightly as holographic images materialized above the central platform, displaying creatures that had once terrorized a quarter of the galaxy. "The Korthax," he announced, his voice barely above a whisper. "Apex predators. Unstoppable killing machines that evolved on a death world with 3 times standard gravity and atmospheric conditions that would dissolve most known species." The assembled delegates leaned forward, their various appendages, tentacles, and sensory organs focused intently on the display. The Korthax were nightmarish, 12 feet of chitinous armor, razor-sharp mandibles, and 6 limbs ending in serrated claws. Their neurotoxin could paralyze a Gronthar battle beast in seconds. "For 2 centuries, Threx continued, they spread across 17 systems. They hunted sentient species for sport. We lost billions. Our best military strategists called them unkillable. Our greatest weapons barely slowed them down." Counselor Vexana of the Crystalline Collective interjected, her form refracting the chamber's light. "I remember the siege of Talonis Prime. 3 full carrier groups couldn't establish orbital superiority. The Korthax spread faster than we could eliminate them." "Indeed," Threx agreed, "until humanity made first contact with them." A wave of curious chirps, clicks, and electromagnetic pulses rippled through the chamber. Humanity, the newest species to achieve faster-than-light travel, the oddly persistent bipeds from a modest world they called Earth. The Korthax attacked the human colony on Kepler 442b within weeks of establishment, Threx explained, pulling up tactical records. 17,000 colonists, standard prefabricated shelters, minimal defensive capabilities. We calculated total extinction within 72 hours. The hologram shifted, showing the colony's desperate situation. Korthax swarms descended from the jungle canopy, their hunting cries echoing across the settlement. "What happened?" asked Minister Zoltar, his methane-breathing apparatus hissing softly. Threx's expression, as close to disturbed as his species could manage, said everything. "The humans refused to evacuate. They said, and I quote from their colonial administrator, 'We've dealt with worse back home.'" Murmurs of disbelief filled the chamber. 72 hours later, the Korthax attacks stopped. Not decreased. Stopped completely. When our reconnaissance drones arrived, expecting to document another genocide, they found something else entirely. The hologram changed, showing images that made several delegates recoil. Korthax corpses, hundreds of them, arranged in defensive perimeters, strung in trees, piled in trenches. The humans had fortified their position using something they called historical military tactics. They dug trenches, actual trenches in the ground, like primitives. They created kill zones with overlapping fields of fire. They used chemical accelerants, kinetic traps, and Threx paused. Accessing another file, they studied the Korthax behavioral patterns in real time and adapted accordingly. In 72 hours, Vexana's crystalline structure pulsed with skepticism. The humans explained that they evolved alongside apex predators on their homeworld, creatures called lions, tigers, bears, crocodiles, and something particularly disturbing called a hippopotamus. They said the Korthax reminded them of giant bugs, and referenced historical periods where their ancestors fought creatures called saber-toothed cats and dire wolves with nothing but stone tools. The chamber erupted in shocked conversation. Threx raised his hand for silence. "But here's what truly disturbs me," he continued. "The humans didn't just survive. Within 6 months, they had pushed the Korthax back into their jungle territories. Within a year, they had mapped the entire Korthax life cycle, identified their breeding grounds, and located every hive on the planet. Surely they called for Galactic Council support." Minister Zoltar interjected. "They did not. Instead, they sent a message to Earth. 3 months later, specialists arrived. Not soldiers, specialists. They called themselves exterminators, pest control experts, and invasive species managers. They brought chemicals, biological agents, and something they called integrated pest management protocols." Threx pulled up the final statistics, his voice hollow. 2 years after first contact with humanity, the Korthax were extinct on Kepler 442b. Not contained. Extinct. The humans then offered their services to the 17 other systems suffering Korthax infestation. "And," prompted Counselor Vexana, 5 years. That's how long it took. Humanity systematically identified every Korthax breeding world, every hive, every genetic variation. They used drone swarms, orbital bombardment of hive clusters, targeted biological weapons, and ground teams that hunted Korthax queens with what they described as routine efficiency. The hologram displayed the final image: a human soldier standing over a dead Korthax queen, giving a casual gesture they called a thumbs up. The Korthax, apex predators that terrorized the galaxy for 2 centuries, were extinct across all known space within a decade of encountering humanity, Threx stated flatly. When I asked the human colonial administrator how they accomplished this, she seemed confused by the question. She said, "We're from a planet where everything tries to kill you. We learned to kill back better." Silence engulfed the chamber. Finally, Vexana spoke, her light refracting nervously. "And now humanity requests full membership in the Galactic Council?" "They do," confirmed Threx. "What do they want in return for their expertise?" Threx displayed the human petition. "Trade agreements, cultural exchange, scientific cooperation." He paused. "And a seat on the Council's Security Committee." Minister Zoltar's breathing apparatus hissed rapidly. "A species that exterminated the Korthax as routine pest control wants to help with galactic security?" "Yes," Threx replied, though their ambassador did mention one thing that perhaps we should consider carefully. "What's that?" "She said that on Earth the Korthax would be classified as a moderate threat at best. When I asked what they considered a serious threat, she showed me images of microscopic organisms they call viruses and bacteria that have killed billions of their own species throughout their history. They're still fighting them." The council chamber remained utterly silent as the implications settled over them like a shroud. Humanity had just exterminated the galaxy's apex predators, and they considered it practice. The vote for humanity's membership was unanimous.